This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're looking at the 7th episode of Season 2, which was the 20th episode overall. It's called Bart vs. Thanksgiving. It was episode number 7F07. It originally aired on November 22nd of 1990. It was written by George Meyer and directed by David Silverman. And the showrunners were Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, and Sam Simon. And one might think that David Silverman and George Meyer working together would make an incredible episode, but unfortunately it's actually quite disappointing. And once again, that doesn't mean I don't like this episode. I just don't love it. In fact, I'd say it's below average in comparison to the rest of the episodes in Season 2. But it's definitely not the worst one in this season. But this episode does have the first appearance of Marge's mother, Jacqueline Bouvier. Other than that, I really don't think there's much else to see here. So if you haven't seen this episode, I definitely recommend watching it. But as far as I'm concerned, I could skip this episode any day of the week, even on Thanksgiving. So how about we just get started with the commentary?
Hi, I'm Jim Brooks.
Al Jean.
This is Mike Reese.
This is Matt Groening.
David Silverman.
And George Meyer.
This is Bart vs. Thanksgiving, which aired Thanksgiving of the second season of the show, which it was the first season of the show was on Thursday night, so we thought maybe we would do an episode on Thanksgiving.
This was my first script, and I made quite a few mistakes, but I think it turned out pretty well.
Was it based on anything that actually happened, George?
Well, just in general, the theme of which family member ruined a holiday. That was a popular theme in my house.
Reoccurring theme?
Yeah. And also the reference to Hooray for Everything was based on my sister Nancy, who was actually a member of Up With People.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I understand they just went out of business.
Up With People, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea they were still around.
Till very recently.
The Wake was amazing.
They changed their name to Down With Profits.
Glenn Close was in Up With People.
No kidding.
You can only learn that here.
Yeah, a friend of mine has an album with her on it, Up With People.
And she does not like to be asked about it, I've been told.
So
She says
keep
it's
it
her
quiet.
proudest achievement.
Bring it up with her. Nice, tasteful way to open up Thanksgiving. The gutting of the turkey. I always like Maggie falling down. I don't think she falls down quite as much these days.
This isn't about glue, it's about territoriality. He only wants the glue because I'm using it.
Oh yeah? Prove it.
Here.
Hey man, I don't want your stupid glue.
Bullwinkle's antlers sprung a leak.
There's a story behind the Bullwinkle float we are about to see. At this point, legal was very scared of us doing parodies that use copyrighted figures like Bullwinkle, so we could basically just show an antler and a hoof.
Nowadays we do just flaunt the law, and we've had, without clearing them, we've had the Archie and Veronica in the show.
Stay out of Riverdale.
We were very, very safe back then.
There are ambulance chasers leaving their homes now.
Uh-oh, looks like old Bullwinkle's kind of got a taste of his own medicine.
He certainly did, Bill.
Wait, what did that mean? Did what I say make sense?
Well, no, not really, Bill.
Boy, now I know how the Pilgrims felt.
What are you talking about, Bill?
So we already heard the Bill and Marty show in the episode Bart Gets an F.
It's the Bill and Marty show. He's Bill.
He's Marty.
Two grown men who can't get enough of each other.
But now we're getting to see the characters for the first time. And they were just as unremarkable as I thought they would be.
Well, I know it wouldn't hurt them to use some cartoons made in the last 50 years.
Don, this is a tradition. If you start building a balloon for every flash-in-the-pan cartoon character, you turn the parade into a farce.
So this was an in-joke. This was the first year, and there was a Bart Simpson balloon in the Macy's parade that year.
Maggie avoiding terrible death in a very comical way.
A callback to your thing where she's sticking her finger in the electrical socket.
Right. Well, it was on the Tracy Ullman show. I did a cartoon in which Maggie stuck a fork in an electric socket and liked it. It aired once and never aired again. because they realized it was behavior that could be imitated. We don't want to kill kids. That's my motto.
The Simpsons has never killed anyone just yet.
Well, except for Sam Simon. They certainly killed the crap out of him, didn't they?
This is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. I'm sure you haven't heard of her, but she worked her whole life to preserve the Florida Everglades.
The centerpiece had Marjorie Stoneman Douglas on it, who was a hero of mine, a centenarian environmentalist from Florida.
And she was also on Growing Pains the same season.
I didn't get a good picture of her to do a caricature, but, we worked pretty hard on the centerpiece, actually, back and forth with designs, I think, getting approval from you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Almost as hard as Lisa did.
One thing that's interesting to note is all the sound effects in the show are added afterwards, obviously, and you can hear the slicing, the can opener. We take great care with the oozing sound as the food comes out of the can.
I kind of wish we had milked that a little bit of the coming out of the can slower, but that worked out well.
Those silver and blue guys are the Dallas Cowboys. They're Daddy's favorite team. And he wants them to lose by less than 5.5 points. Understand?
This is one of the early references.
Many of Simpson writers were gambling addicts.
Which you're very good at, George.
It's one reason we're still working 12 years later.
Looks like they'll be feeding him Thanksgiving dinner through a tube.
Hope they can fit a turkey in there.
The leg twitching became a motif also.
Hi, Patty. Mwah. Hi, Selma. Mwah.
So you've really got to compliment Homer for at least trying to be nice to Patty and Selma. And as difficult as it is to look at, I still find it funny because he got them mixed up.
Hi, Patty. Mwah. Hi, Selma. Mwah.
This is Patty and this is Selma. And again, at least Homer is trying to be nice. But Patty and Selma seem even more upset than they would be if he said something insulting.
Is Julie changing her voice at all for the two sisters? It's just the same. It's the same voice, right?
No, there's a distinct difference, which Julie's very careful with, which is Patty has a lower voice with a hint of lesbianism. Selma is higher and a slightly younger. No, I mean, she definitely has a different way she approaches each character.
Yeah, right.
And you can tell that no one in that room actually thinks Al Jean knows what he's talking about. And just to quickly prove them all correct, here's a short audio clip from the commentary that comes from the Season 3 episode Black Widower.
I love the whole twin thing. I mean, I still do. That is such an odd thing to be a part of. And that the story's dealing with the twins.
And your voices are different, right? For Patty and Selma?
Not at all. It's exactly the same thing. I remember when we were deciding what to do for that, and Jim Brooks was there, and I said, well, what do you want? It should be in the same vein as Marge. I said, should it be higher or should it be lower? He said, should it be different? One higher, one lower? He said, do them both the same.
So that's interesting.
And Matt had the best direction for me originally with the sisters, which was they suck the joy out of everything.
I love Dan's impression.
And now,
He continued to have that very old style AM radio for a long time, well into the 90s.
With an 8-track.
the Western Hemisphere, the dancingest hemisphere of all.
I was proud of that joke, the dancingest hemisphere on Earth.
I think I should have maybe done something else instead of just one shot, but it seems to work okay.
We do it to this day, whereas we love to write stuff on the radio and Bill and Marty talking, and then we throw it to the animators. It's like, make it interesting.
Now, before we sit down to our delicious turkey puree, I have some happy news.
So this is the first appearance of the administrator of the retirement castle. And if they actually gave this guy a name, I was unable to find it. But if I'm being honest, I really didn't look that hard. I mean, this guy's in 2, maybe 3 episodes. So let's just move on.
The following people have relatives who wish they could be here today. Antonovsky, Conroy, Falcone. Oh!
One of the oldest fax machines I've ever seen.
And Mrs. Spencer. You too.
Oh, I knew they wouldn't forget me.
This, I thought, was one of the grimmest Thanksgiving scenes I'd seen at this point on TV.
I used to wash dishes in an old folks' home one summer when I was in high school, and so the puree, that's something that I contributed. That I remember serving.
Come on, Dad, let's get out of here.
Slow down, boy. What's your hurry?
This place is depressing.
Hey, I live here.
I think over the years, Grandpa has gotten a higher voice, sort of speaks quicker.
It hurts to talk, so I'll just say one thing. You never do anything right.
I remember that was a Jim Brooks line.
That's great.
I'm laughing this many years later.
This is the first time I think Marge's mom showed up, right?
So this definitely is the first appearance of Jacqueline Bouvier. Even though we already had her first appearance in Moaning Lisa, this character actually gets 2 first appearances. Because in Moaning Lisa, not only was it a dream, but it was also a flashback. But now we're finally seeing Jacqueline Bouvier in the present reality, which is why she gets 2 first appearances.
Just took Marge's model and squashed her a little bit.
It's my homage to some American heroes who may not have fought in any wars, but who nevertheless...
Didn't Nancy Cartwright get in trouble when she would sing these different fanfares because somebody owns these different fanfares and we always wound up having to pay for them?
I worked forever on this!
Hey, that got her going.
Bitchin'.
I think that was a fight with the censor, him saying bitchin', which at that time was very unusual on TV.
When it was a small network, we had to go to someplace else for a censor. Please censor us, mister. We can't afford our own.
Yeah, a guy on the second floor of a mini mall.
All right, Bart, that's it. Go to your room, now!
So I think Bart and Lisa both are unruly brats in this episode. And if I were sitting at that table, I would want to leave right about now.
I hope you're happy, Bart. You ruined Thanksgiving.
I didn't ruin Thanksgiving. She did, bunch of jerks.
Put smoke in the chimney.
Was it darker because of the centerpiece burning?
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess that means the neighbors decided to burn their centerpiece as well, huh? It's definitely a tradition I'm not familiar with.
Oh, Lord, be honest. Are we the most pathetic family in the universe or what?
I don't think Homer's ever finished saying grace without just yelling at the Lord or asking for gossip.
Amen.
Where's prayer yet?
I like those down shots. The straight down shot can be very effective when it's, you have the right scene for it. And that worked really well for that. Another nice emotional scene where it's good to show somebody saying, but their back is turned to you. I think that's a nice thing to do.
It's just lazy animation, isn't it, David?
Yeah, actually. But I try to dress it up in some pretty way.
This was the second holiday show we had done after the Christmas show where, again, Homer had no money at Christmas and had to win it back at the dog track. So we definitely had a history of holidays with very bleak messages.
And here's the writer Mimi Pond explaining why that episode was so bleak.
They said, well, we need a Christmas episode. And I said, well, that sounds great because I hate Christmas.
And here's what George Meyer has to say about this one.
Yeah, this show contained a lot more anger than the usual episode. And in fact, when I saw it, I was a little bit horrified by how much conflict and hostility there was. So I decided to enter therapy.
And I'm no fan of that type of therapy, but I'm glad it helped George, because I think he's one of the better writers on the show. Mimi Pond, on the other hand, is not. And I think James L. Brooks made a wise decision not hiring her, because you can tell that woman has severe brain constipation.
Wow, swanky.
So this episode has more of those pretentious hidden references. Here we see that Mr. Burns lives at the corner of Croesus and Mammon. Croesus was the king of Lydia around 550 BC. He was extremely well known for how wealthy he was, and Lydia is known for being the first country to produce gold and silver coins. And Mammon is an evil entity that promises wealth. So it could be said that Mr. Burns lives at the corner of wealth and greed. That's deep, man.
Now, this was not the first time we saw Burns' mansion, I guess, this season. Was it?
There was a picnic there in the first season.
Right. And then we think in Burns Runs for Governor, it showed up as well.
So the episode Silverman is talking about is 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish. And he's wrong, because Burns Manor is not featured in that episode. I think this actually is the first time in season 2 that we see it.
Uh-oh.
We got a lot of points, too, these early years for references like Croesus and Mammon and then Les Miserables. I mean, people would act like we were just a cartoon that was trying to be offensive, but there was, real subtext to it.
Release the hound.
So, in There's No Disgrace Like Home, Mr. Burns threatened to release the hounds.
I suggest you don't dawdle. The hounds will be released in 10 minutes.
But in this episode, we're actually getting to see the hounds.
I like the way the dogs were animated in this. They really looked scary.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of fun on that. We went through a lot of designs on that, too.
Here's our Allen Ginsberg reference.
I met someone who was a friend of Allen Ginsberg, and I understand that he was tickled by this.
Oh, I'm sure he was, considering the fact he was a member of NAMBLA. I suppose the only thing that would have tickled him more is if the book had been in Bart's room instead of Lisa's. And don't you think Jack Kerouac might be a little too advanced for an 8-year-old girl?
Cool, the wrong side of the tracks.
We have crossing the tracks.
Suddenly everything gets seedy.
This is where we were living in the first years of the show.
This was based on a real event from my life where I needed money and I tried to sell my blood. And I went in there and they said, you can't just waltz in here and sell your blood. You have to be checked out. It takes a couple days. That was kind of a low point for me.
I saw my blood and they didn't do that to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that was a while ago, Jim.
And I had a type where you got $3 extra for your type.
There was also a scene actually inside the blood bank, but we cut it, I guess, for time or.
Right.
Yeah. And there was a dream sequence that was going to follow after this.
Yes.
When he faints, and it was like Bart ruining the very first Thanksgiving.
Right, I remember that.
Oh, is that not in the show anymore?
No,
the
that
one
was
later
cut out.
is in, but no fantasy here.
Yeah, and I remember how shocked I was that this whole big hunk would just get chopped out. Later, it became routine.
Kent Brackman was loosely based on Jerry Dunphy, right? The old LA anchorman.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was a Brad Bird design.
His girlfriend is the weather lady.
You don't say.
That's one of the few tossed-off jokes we really we stuck with. He is, I think he's married to Stephanie, the weather lady now.
Mm-hmm. They're separated.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Yeah, well.
You got someplace to sleep tonight, Bart?
Yeah, there's this family I kind of hang out with.
Sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Dan Castellaneta doing a sort of a Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, I was just going to say the hunker character that he does.
Excuse me, geez, I wonder if you heard about all the bad ground beef that's going around lately. It might be wise to have that burger tested, before you bite into it,
How would I test that?
Well, I'm kind of an expert, actually. I just need a small portion of that, and I can tell you whether or not that's good or bad,
Oh, you know what? I'll just take my chances, friend. Thank you.
Okay,
though.
suit yourself. A lot of luck. Best of luck.
He's down at the rescue mission.
We checked. He's long gone. Could you think of any reason he might have run away? Anything at all?
Different voices on Eddie and Lou now.
We reused that particular footage a lot of times. If we had a scene we wanted to write where Homer was talking to the cops, we would reuse that and loop it.
Yeah, the cops visit the Simpsons house an awful lot.
They have a very close relationship with the local police. I always like that orange Twilight color for the show.
Yeah, that works really well, and I always like the lighting on the right emotion to do a lighting like this.
Let's go. If I'm not back at the home by 9, they declare me legally dead and collect my insurance.
That was another scene that was cut out. Was I think was going from family to family to family, and every family's having like a bad Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah, we'd often find even as the seasons progressed, whenever you'd go to a non-Simpson family or characters that weren't regular, it never seemed to get the same response. Those would always get cut.
I'm sorry, too.
No, that won't do it all.
This is leading into the dream sequence. That was a great deal of fun to work on.
Yeah, that was a tour de force.
Well, it was great. It was like this shot here, just introducing people and pulling out, and then in the same shot, you suddenly see, oh, it is a dream. Like right there, change the color, and then you zip to a different layout altogether. And this red color, the color department showed it to me. I thought, well, let's try it, and it worked really well. This was actually laid out for those interested by Eric Stefani of the band No Doubt. He's quite a good artist.
You can blame him for everything.
It's your fault I'm bald.
I'm sorry.
It's your fault I'm old.
I'm sorry. It's your fault I can't talk.
Carol
That was
Kane.
Carol Kane, yeah, it's Maggie's voice. But it wasn't the real Maggie, it was a dream.
I'm sorry.
It's your fault America has lost its way.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Pointing to the eye is a little based on Pink Elephants on Parade, where Dumbo's being surrounded by all the elephants.
This also was based on my real life because I would go up on the roof when I was fighting with my family. It was kind of my refuge.
Did you find stuff up there?
Oh, sure, there was always this kind of stuff up there.
Dear Log.
That got a huge laugh, I remember. Dear Log. Dear Log, the best line we ever wrote.
The design in her chair is really good.
I actually had a chair like that. And I found that while it's helped my back, it made my knees just really ache.
Was it because you hate me? Or because you're bad? I don't know. I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I enjoyed it.
I like to cut out to wide shots for really big emotional shots where somebody's being dismissive and just like not wanting to face anything. So just pull out wide and he's just yelling to the universe.
Just because I wrecked something she worked really hard on and I made her
And also drifting into somebody, which is very effective in live action, just a slow dolly in, trying to simulate the same thing in animation.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, Lisa.
Apology accepted.
You know, Marge, we're great parents.
I always think about Homer's line, "We're great parents," when I'm being a bad parent. I go, well, at least I'm better than him.
Yeah. Kids are running around on the roof.
And he's just looking from the window.
Standing on the toilet.
Oh, Lord, on this blessed day, we thank thee for giving our family one more crack at togetherness. Amen.
This was a formula we did often where it was, a lot of sad stuff followed by 30 seconds of happiness. Oh, we're off to the bank.
You don't know if people are touched or just relieved.
So it isn't that Bart vs. Thanksgiving is a bad episode. It's just that it doesn't have the rewatchability of an episode like Lisa on Ice. And I mention Lisa on Ice because it's another episode where Bart and Lisa are fighting through the whole thing. In Bart vs. Thanksgiving, you get a fight between the two of them that is quite ugly. In fact, I feel like they're showing a side of the Simpson family that I just don't want to see. But in Lisa on Ice, the two intensely fight each other, and yet it's competitive, lighthearted, and funny, instead of it being a depiction of a traumatic childhood memory that obviously Bart and Lisa would both remember after growing up. In my opinion, this episode just doesn't get that balance of melancholy and jokes correct, the way episodes like Lisa on Ice obviously do. I mean, the ending of Lisa on Ice reaches in and touches even my cold black heart.
Man, I don't know what the fuck you just said, little kid, but you special, man. You reached out and you touched it by the heart.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with Bart the Daredevil. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.